Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 33 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. My name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host. And in this episode, we are going to be doing a fantastic interview with Mr. Zach Purvis. Zach is a former Scout Sniper Marine. He is a competitive shooter. He is a great guy. I've known Zach for a long time. We've shot together many, many years ago. And they're doing some really great work in what's called the Recon Sniper Foundation. So I want to bring Zach on, talk to him a little bit about his shooting career, some history, just some fascinating things to talk about, and also bring him on and talk about some of the great work that they're doing with the Team Recon Sniper Foundation and how they're reaching out to guys and just bringing them in and making a difference to a lot of our guys that are coming home from overseas. So I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Zach Purvis. So without further ado, here we go. So I'd like to introduce you to Zach Purvis. Zach and I go back a little ways. We had the opportunity to shoot together. We shot some matches many, many years ago. I have a lot of admiration for Zach. He's a scout sniper from the Marine Corps. He is since gotten out, and we became some pretty good friends over the years. So I'm really honored to bring Zach on the podcast and talk with him a little about shooting, as well as something else that he is heavily passionate about, and that's the Recon Sniper Foundation. But before we get into all that, Zach, welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate you having me, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here.
So to ask you some personal questions for everybody here, obviously, we'd like to talk a little bit about your history in shooting. So what got you interested in shooting, and tell us a little bit about your military career.
Shooting goes back as long as I can remember. I mean, I grew up in the country, small farm, and that's all we did as far as me, my brother, and cousins. That's what we did. We, not politically correct today, but we took our BB guns out and shot birds all day, every day. And we'd walk miles and shoot at Tweety birds with our Red Riders and eventually, Powerline 760. And I mean, it's part of how I grew up, hunting and fishing, and that's honestly what kept me kind of on the straight and narrow. If I didn't get good grades, I couldn't go hunting. If I didn't display that I was mature enough to handle firearms or mature enough in everyday life, I couldn't shoot. I couldn't go shoot groundhogs. And fortunately, my dad, gave me a lot of liberty. And we have close to 80 or 90 acres here, but we're bordered by another 400 or 500 acres, and he let me take the 22 and go squirrel hunting and groundhog hunting when I was 12, 13, 14, by myself. So that's kind of how I got into shooting. It was just something to do, and I loved to do it, and eventually started shooting trap and anything that would shoot, I was interested in.
That was awesome. And what got you deciding on the Marine Corps, and how old were you? And when you went in and enlisted, were you thinking about trying out and going into sniper school?
Well, my grandfather was a World War II Marine. He's one of the first troops into Nagasaki after they dropped the bomb. And my dad was a Vietnam vet and in the Army. So the military always fascinated me. And that was always my plan, was going to the Marine Corps. The thing that got me interested in snipers was a gentleman that had a gun shop in town, which I'm about probably 3 miles out of town. I'd ride my bike in there and bow fish for carp in the local creek, and then I would walk up to his gun shop and just sit in there for hours and BS with him. And he gave me a book one day called Recon Sniper 93 Confirmed Kills. And I read that, and that got me interested in, obviously snipers. And it's a whole different ballgame when you actually get in the Marine Corps and find out what it takes. That was always what I wanted to do. But once I got in, I wanted to do it, but you had to find the right opportunity and the right time. And fortunately, I was able to take the NDOC, and I was able to go to school and graduate and become a sniper.
That was really awesome. How old were you when you enlisted, and how old were you when you graduated from sniper school?
I was 19 when I enlisted. I took almost a full year after high school in order to work and save money. So I was 19 when I enlisted. I didn't go through sniper school until I was already in for almost 3 years. I was stationed at Kings Bay, Georgia for 2 years, which is a non-deploying station. And I was on a close quarters battle team down there. And when I got to the fleet, I just hit everything perfect as far as when I got to the fleet. I was there for a month in a regular infantry platoon, and seen the flyers saying there was a scout sniper NDOC, and decided to take that. So I took that, and we started with probably around 30 guys. We finished with, I believe, 7. They took 6 of us into the platoon, and they only had 1 school slot for the 6 of us. And I was fortunate enough to go to school. And I was only in the platoon for maybe a month before I went to school. And went through school and passed school, got back to the platoon and trained for maybe 2 months, and then was sent to Afghanistan.
Wow. And what year was this?
This would have been 2004.
And your experience in sniper school, I mean, it sounds like you had to get through a lot of barriers even to get your foot in the door, but what was the experience like? I mean, you read the book, and you probably had some ideas about it, but how was it compared to what you thought it was going to be?
It's kind of hard to say because it's kind of both ways. When they said I was going to go to school, nobody ever thought I would actually pass, because usually once you take the NDOC and get into a platoon, you're in that platoon for, a lot of times a year or two, and you're being evaluated constantly to see and being prepared to go to school. And I was only there for maybe a month in the platoon, and went to school. But the one thing that kind of was an advantage for me was I didn't have a life. So sniper school was my life. The instructors there were awesome. They would take the time. If I had any questions, I would stay up. If they were on duty, I'd go down and I'd pick their brains and say, well, I really suck at this. How can I get better at this? And, I really cared about being there, and honestly thought it was an honor being there. Well, it did suck being, your body being tested every single day. The mental games that have no comparison as far as what the actual job is when you go to do it. But I honestly thought every day I was just fortunate to be there, because the sniper community has so many great individuals in it that to be amongst them, it has to be. It's an honor to be amongst such great people and hold the title as such good people.
What do you think was maybe one of the hardest parts, or something that you had to learn that you personally struggled with through school? Was there something that showed up or reared its ugly head that was like, oh my gosh, I have to really work like crazy at this?
You'll you'll find a lot of humor in this, but it was drawing. This was back before smartphones, and digital cameras were just starting. So the mission of the snipers is usually you're inserted prior to, depending on the mission, and getting on the objective and actually being able to bring that intel back to the battalion. If you're going to do a raid on a building or anything like that, they want to know every detail. And so if you got onto an objective and you're in your FFP, you'd actually have to sit there and draw the objective. Every door, every window, have it to scale. And I can't draw to save my life. So that was the number one thing I struggled with. And I did well at everything else. And it's hilarious because my last field sketch, which you have to have 80% or better on in order to pass. Like you would fail out for not being able to draw. And my last grade was, are you on acid? And they gave me whatever points I needed to get 80%. So that was, to be honest with you, as dumb as it sounds, that was the number one thing that I struggled with was field sketches.
That is actually really surprising, and I never actually would have thought of that, on how important that was, and I could see how that could be a problem. You probably didn't take a lot of art classes in high school.
No, I can't even draw stick figures.
So
that's how bad I am at it.
So as I got to know you a little bit, of course, got a chance to build you a couple rifles over the years. One thing that caught my attention was when you said you were getting involved in trying to help other guys that have gotten out of the Marines and taking them out shooting. And I just want to throw it out there to everybody that what caught my attention the most was when I was hearing you talk that you were paying the entry fees out of your pocket. You were supplying the rifles and all the ammunition. And I can't say how much it set me back a little bit and how admired or admirable of a thing that you were doing. And that has bloomed into what you guys are working on now. But you started after you got out of the Marine Corps. How long ago did you start this? Because it was quite a while ago, I think, when we first talked about it. But I was shocked. I was humbled. And, I thought what you were doing was pretty awesome. And not a lot of guys would take the time and effort and money and resources out of their pockets. On top of that, you run your own business to do all this. I thought that was actually pretty special. But how long ago did you start doing this, and really what started it all?
Really, it was when I got out. I got out, got a job. I was making $10 an hour. So I didn't have money to build a rifle. So I saved my money and started doing. I was working 3 jobs, and that helped me a lot as far as I always kept my mind busy and working towards goals. As far as I wanted to own a house. I was getting married. So that building my first rifle and knowing what it took as far as money wise, and this was in 2005 to 2007, I think is honestly how long it took me to build my first rifle. And it was just a local gunsmith. I bought the barrel, had the barrel for, several months, then found a stock, Macmillan 8, M40A1 or HTG stock, had it sent. And I had all the parts for over a year, and then, kept picking up side work, climbing trees and cutting trees down and saving that, and built my first rifle. And the biggest thing that made me want to do this is I hesitated for at least 2 or 3 years before I'd go and shoot my first match. I had no idea what to expect, no idea what to take, no idea, what gear I needed. And that's the biggest thing is guys don't know what to expect. They don't know if they're going to know anybody there. They don't know what gear to take. And So once I built that first rifle, and I still have it to this day and still shoot it, I went and shot these matches, and there was not hardly any other veterans, and definitely not any other Marine snipers there. And so I kept that rifle and started making a little bit more money and built another one. And I was like, well, I got this extra rifle. I want to take some guys with me. And, started taking other guys to matches. And then when the whole Facebook thing happened and I actually got on Facebook, there's a couple of different closed groups for, just recon guys and sniper guys that we scheduled a gathering. And I was like, hey, anybody in this area, I'm going to have people over to my house, and I have ranges on my property that we can shoot and just hang out and whatnot. And with that, another 10 guys ended up showing up, all within an hour of me. And we just hang out and shoot and smoke some beef tenderloin and just have a good time. And, they were saying the same thing as far as they wanted to shoot matches, didn't know what to expect. And so, they started coming with me. And one of the guys was a board member on Recon Sniper Foundation. And so we went to a few matches and whatnot and got to talking, and he said, well, what do you think about doing this through the foundation and actually starting a shooting team? And the rest is kind of history. I mean, we started it, and we had a USPSA team for a pistol and precision rifle, which I'm a captain of right now. And when I say precision rifle, I'm not really a PRS shooter as far as like the precision rifle series shooter. Just any precision rifle match, whether it be a small sniper match or any other match that has to do with a precision rifle, I go and shoot. Allegheny Sniper Challenge. So they're not really sanctioned shoots. I'll go to a few PRS shoots, but it's just about getting guys shooting and the camaraderie and hanging out. And to be honest with you, the best time is after we're done shooting and everybody's just sitting around a fire or sitting around a truck and just talking and telling stories. And it doesn't matter how you shoot. As long as you shot, you had a good time, you learned something, go back to the truck, and then you have a nice time and talk to your brothers and know you're not alone in the world,
Did you find when you started connecting with these guys that you had that many that close to you? Was that a surprise?
That was definitely surprising, yes. It was, and to be honest with you, they're my best friends right now. I mean, those guys that came out on the initial shoot, I still talk to them daily, and we still shoot together, and we still hang out. And if it weren't for shooting and matches and all that stuff, I never even would have known that they lived less than 35 minutes from me. They're 10 years younger, but it's definitely a great thing, and it helps me as much as it helped them. And that's why we kind of wanted to wrap it into the foundation. And we're more of basically the face of the Recon Sniper Foundation out in the world where people actually see it, and nobody's ever heard of it when you talk to them about it. And we're there representing the Recon Sniper Foundation because they do absolutely phenomenal work, and definitely humbling to be part of it.
Well, after all you've been through, like with making it through sniper school, getting in, making it, being deployed, and then, coming back home and then going into the civilian world, I can't really imagine what that's like, but is that where you guys sort of come in and get guys back out? Because I can't imagine there's a lot of people that you can actually relate to about your experiences and what you guys have served doing and seen and accomplished. that's probably not something that's easily connected to, or something that you could talk or relate to people about a lot.
Uh, it's definitely not. But that's that's why we do what we do. So we try and get as many people connected. Just the suicide rate amongst veterans, and then the suicide rate amongst reconnaissance Marines and sniper Marines. It's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, anybody that's lost to suicide, if they just reached out to somebody, and they could be going through a hard time, and that's why I've paid match fees, and that's why I've let them use my rifles and my ammo and everything. I knew they were going through a hard time, and they're great people. And with partnering or becoming Team Recon Sniper Foundation, we have a way to pull other resources in order, because not everybody can do that. Not everybody has, 3 or 4 rifles that they can loan out and optics and all that stuff. So with the Recon Sniper Foundation and Team RSF, it gives vendors and other people who have those resources, they can give it to somebody, because, like I said, not everybody has the resources that I do. Say on the West Coast, we've done it. We've flown instructors to different matches. We've gotten rifles for them. We've gotten ammo for them. It kind of gives a face to what we try and do on a personal level, and it lets people know this isn't. We don't want anything for free. I don't take anything for free. I pay all my own stuff. But this person, he doesn't have it. He's active duty. He can't afford to fly or pay for a plane ticket to go to this match and pay the entry fee. I mean, that's thousands of dollars. When you're an active duty Marine, that's a lot of money. That's, over 2 weeks' pay. So by doing the Team RSF, those guys have a place to reach out to, and then we can contact Recon Sniper Foundation and say, hey, this is what we have going on. We have this guy and this guy, or we can reach out to the vendors that we work with and say, hey, we have this guy that needs this and this. And we don't look for handouts, but it's trying to help the other guys. And that's the other thing too, was without one of the main goals was I wanted to get to the schoolhouses as far as let them know what a resource and training value the actual civilian matches are. Because as you know, with shooting Allegheny Sniper Challenge, how many of the SF guys are there, and they're getting paid to be there. They have their work guns, they have work ammo, and then you have the one Marine Corps scout sniper there that had to take leave in order to go up there, borrow a gun, and find ammo in order to shoot the match. And the Marine Corps is starting to come around a lot to that. And I've shot matches with almost every instructor or every schoolhouse, at least one of their instructors in the past 3 years. So that's pretty impressive. And that wasn't even due to us. It was Marines realizing the training value of the civilian matches and what it can do and what they can take back to their platoons or take back to the schoolhouse and tweak the curriculum to be a much better curriculum and produce better snipers.
And with reaching out, how do you go about trying to connect with these guys that have gotten out of the Marine Corps and trying to connect with them and draw them back in to spend time with and around you guys? I mean, what you're doing is really admirable. I mean, I'm actually very humbled that, I think a lot of us should be doing a lot more if we can. But with the Recon Sniper Foundation, how did that get started? And if people want to help, what can they do to help and where can they go?
The Recon Sniper Foundation is all volunteers. So almost 90 cents of every dollar goes to directly helping veterans. And it came from a group of guys that realized there was a gap in support for veterans. The really big ones like Wounded Warrior and all that, they're getting all this money in, but their overhead cost was so much, and they won't help, small claims.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as people hate to say it or admit it, like PTSD treatment. A guy's really struggling and he needs to get the treatment. The VA, sometimes the VA will help him as far as, get the treatment. Well, he still has bills, or she still has bills, and they need paid. So guys will not go to treatment to get the treatment that they need because, well, then they can't pay their mortgage because they can't go to work. So the Recon Sniper Foundation was started because they realized there was this small gap, and it started out with, the reconnaissance Marines and snipers, but now they do service all veterans, and it's filling the gap that the larger charities, overlook. They're not going to get any publicity for paying somebody's mortgage. They want a publicity of, oh, we built this guy a house, or we did this, or we did that. Meanwhile, they're raising millions of dollars, and only, a couple $100,000 is going to actually help veterans.
Yeah. That's actually a shame, really. I mean, there's lots of resources there that probably could be used in a lot better ways.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, the guys that run the Recon Sniper Foundation, the amount of time that they put into it and sacrifice they make for it, being all volunteer, is phenomenal. I mean, just me running the precision rifle team, I have 1/100th of the time that board members and case directors and the president of RSF have into running RSF. So, but they want to maximize the money that's coming in for veterans benefits. So, and every case or every request for assistance is all vetted. So it's not, some guy that's a known scammer comes in and says, I need this money. No, you have to send your DD-214. You have to say exactly, what you need. And then the case directors make the decision from there, because the case directors, they're there for one reason, and that's to help veterans. They're not making any money off of anything. It's their own free time that they're volunteering to do this. So it's definitely unique in that sense. It's basically a grassroots, blue collar. Nobody's benefiting financially or in any way other than helping other veterans.
So everybody that's helping out in the Recon Sniper Foundation isn't paid? They're all volunteers?
Yes.
That's impressive.
The only real cost they have is the lawyers and making sure everything is 100% correct. So that would be, tax people for the 501c3 status to make sure everything is good. Those are really the only overhead costs. I mean, when we went out to 29 Palms, it's probably 3-4 months ago. We did it's kind of like a clinic for getting into precision rifle and USPSA competition. And we flew out to 29 Palms, and the battalion gunner out there was awesome. And we put on a one-day clinic of this is what to expect. During a match, these are some stages. So it's half-day precision rifle, and then the two groups would swap and do, half-a-day precision rifle and half-day USPSA pistol. And then the next day we put on, a half-day precision rifle match and half-day USPSA match. And there was probably, I would say, at least 80 guys there between active duty and guys that had just gotten out. And we all flew out there on our own dime to do it. And it was a blast. I mean, it was the best money I ever spent.
The way people can help or find out about you, or if somebody wanted to make a donation or learn more about the foundation itself, where would they go and find it all? Well, where can they find you?
On social media, on Facebook, Recon Sniper Foundation. Same thing on Instagram. Team RSF is Team RSF or Team Recon Sniper Foundation on Facebook, and the same on Instagram. The website for the Recon Sniper Foundation is reconsniperfoundation.org, and that's the best way to find us.
What do you think the hardest part with reaching out to these guys is? The hardest part for you, is it reaching out and finding them, or once you find them and make that connection, getting them to come out and join you?
Honestly, it's not that hard through social media. It's the people that aren't on social media that makes it more difficult. As much as I dislike 90% of social media, the only reason I have social media is because of Team RSF and the guys I served with. That's the way to keep up with them. But making contact is not that difficult. Convincing them to come out is the biggest thing. And what I always get is, well, I'll just come watch a match. No, come shoot the match. Well, I don't have a rifle, or I don't have the gear. It's like, I have everything you need. All you have to do is pay for ammo. And they come out and they shoot and they have a blast. And I don't know how many guys now, have since came out, shot a match, used my stuff. And then that's the biggest thing is, don't come watch, come and shoot it. Because there's a lot of people out there that will loan rifles or allow you to use gear. Even if you go out and watch, I mean, you can go out and you can pick up 50 different rifles and say, oh, I like this, I don't like this, I do like this, I don't like this. I've never seen a single person at a match say, no, you can't touch my rifle, or look through my optics, or anything. Right. And it's a huge investment on a precision rifle as far as how much money you're going to be spending. And to base all of that off the internet, it's not a good idea.
No, you could throw away a lot of money in a hurry and really be unhappy with what you got.
Right, exactly. So that's what, like I said, I'm fortunate enough that I can say, yeah, come shoot the match and use my 308 or use one of my 260s and just come out and shoot. And then while you're shooting, you can look at my rifles, look at my optics. You can look at 40 or 50 other guys' rifles, optics. Oh, I like that. And you can base your decision on, yeah, I like that. Or no, this setup isn't quite for me. And it gives you a visual, and you can actually see what you do or don't like about certain parts. And then you can kind of build your rifle from there and know exactly what you're getting, rather than, like I said, basing everything off of what Joe Schmo said on the internet.
Yeah, and the fact that, for all that you do, for all that you've done, just thanking you for your service isn't enough. It's what you're really doing after your service, I think, is just so admirable. I mean, the fact of how much time and effort and resources of your own, and really not asking for anything in return, that says a lot about how much you care about the community, and says a lot about your character, which I think is just awesome. Now, before I let you go, I do want to say that I would like to invite you back to the podcast for round number 2 to talk about long-range shooting, some of the different competitions, some tricks and trips, some pointers, some things that you like and dislike. So I would love to bring you on for a whole segment to talk about marksmanship and equipment and some of the different matches and things that you see. I think your experience would be really awesome to share with that. And maybe just for guys that are looking to get into long-range shooting or competition shooting for the first time, because you've been around a lot of these guys and got a chance to sort of watch them go through their phases. But we'll save that whole thing for another podcast. But I do want to thank you for taking the time to come on here. I wish I could have got you on here earlier. I think what you're doing is absolutely awesome. I don't think there can be enough of people like you out there reaching out and helping others. And not asking for anything in return. That's just such a rare thing. It says a lot about you. So thank you for taking the time to come on here. And if you guys get a chance to, for all the listeners out there, if you get a chance to check out, their Facebook page or their website, I believe is Recon Sniper Foundation.
ReconSniperFoundation.org.
Awesome. If you get a chance to check it out, I think it's a really great cause. I think what they're doing and trying to make the best uses of the resources that they do get is absolutely awesome. I think what Zach does is absolutely incredible. So maybe we can get a couple ammunition manufacturers hearing this, help out with some ammunition once in a while. That'd probably be a lot of help.
Every little bit helps, that's for sure.
Well, Zach, thank you again for taking the time to come on. And let's schedule this year. We'll try to get together again in maybe about another 4 to 6 weeks to talk nothing but shooting. But, keep up the good work. And again, I just wish there's more people out there like you. And to be honest with you, it makes all of us feel pretty humble and make us feel that we could be doing a lot more ourselves as well for all you guys out there. So, Zach, thank you.
Yeah, it's not about me. There's many people out there that are better than me, and that's why we do this. Is we're the community is men of giants, and we strive to take care of our own, and that's why we do it. And the community is why we do it. It's definitely not about me. It's an honor for me to do it. So I appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure, Zach. And we'll get you back on here to talk some shooting the next time.
Sounds good, sir.
All right. Thank you, Zach.
Yep. Thanks, Jamie.
Well, that was a great interview with Zach. Zach, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. I certainly appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast here. And really, I think what's super important too is, just the work that you're doing and how much you're trying to help and reach out. I think the program that you guys are running there, as well as, how hard everybody at that Recon Sniper Foundation is working, and all their hearts are in the right place. And it's pretty amazing that, everybody there is volunteers, and how they're handling, what donations they get so smartly to try to get as much out of every dollar that they can. I think that's really, really important too. We have lots of guys over, generations that have gone off and served our country, and they're some of the greatest Americans that we could ask for, going out and filling that role and serving their country. And, the truth of the matter is some of the soldiers that we have don't come home. And for the guys that do make it back and have gone over there because we've asked them to all these countries, we just can't afford to lose them if we get them home. And so I think Zach brings up a good point with, the veteran suicide rate is just through the roof. And, it's pretty cool to see that they're doing everything that they can to try to talk to them and reach out to them and do things with them and for them. And I think, it's just on a personal note, it just made me look and do some reflection here and what we could be doing more, and maybe bringing some guys out to the range. And I talked to Zach off the air a little bit about maybe next year setting up 1 or 2 of the events that we can just bring in some guys that would like to spend an afternoon or an evening there with us on the range, just shooting some rifles and having some fun. So anything we can do to help those guys, I think, is awesome. So again, thank you so much, Zach, for taking the time to join us. If you would like to donate to the foundation, it's the ReconSniperFoundation.org. And I am sure every penny that you could give or dollar that you could give would mean a lot to them. And they really are good stewards of people's hard-earned money that they're entrusting with them to do great things for our veterans. So that's really awesome too. So Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. My name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host, and you're listening to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.